Hey everyone, Mike Emil here with another video for you guys. One of the most distinguishable features of the Tesla Model 3 or Model Y is the beautiful 15-inch center display, which essentially houses all of the car's functions and settings. Today's video is going to be a full and complete walkthrough of the Tesla Model 3 screen. Now, this does apply for the Model Y as well. There's a lot to cover here, so we're going to jump right in to this video. Okay, so this is the main display that you will have. On the left-hand side here is your car. It also displays all your driving information. On the right side here, you have your map. It'll also house all of the pop-up menus that will come up. And then down here along the bottom, you have all the different categories and quick buttons that you can use as well. So up here, you'll see you have the battery display. With the most recent update, you have the ability to change from percent to mileage by just clicking the display. This is your lock button that unlocks and locks the car doors. Obviously your time, the temperature. Easy entry is the current setting that I have the car in. What that does is it allows you to have one setting for when you get in and out of the car. And then as you click on here, you'll see you have all of your other driver profiles. So I have mine, my fiance's, and then the easy entry setting as well. This is your Sentry mode display. Right now I have the Sentry mode off, but if you wanted to turn it on, you would just simply tap that and the red light would come on in the middle there. So next up you have the dash cam. That will house all of your Sentry mode and obviously dash cam footage. You can launch the viewer there and review any of it right from the car. Next you have your LTE signal, so that's the direct connection that the car has. And then next you have Bluetooth. Okay, so because the car is in park, the display is very minimal. But what couple of things that I do like about that, you do have the ability to customize this. So as you can see, I've removed the Aero wheel cap covers from my car, and in the settings, which we'll get through later, you'll be able to actually change this. It's pretty cool. And the car also obviously shows that I have the white car with the white interior. The other options you have here is to open the front, to unlock or lock the doors, to open or close the trunk, because on the 2021 Tesla Model 3, the car does come with an automatic rear liftgate, and then you can open or close the charge port door as well. If you swipe left or right here, you have a couple different options. Now, when the car is in drive and you've been driving for a little bit, the tire pressure will display here. And then if you come to the left here, you have a bunch of different categories to see your charging rate, how much you're using, trip status, and as well how much you've driven. I've currently driven 5,015 miles with this car since June. Now on the right hand side obviously is your navigation, so if you wanted to navigate somewhere you would click that. If you have your home linked to here, all you have to do is slide across and it actually will directly navigate you home, which is a nice quick feature to have. You have the ability of changing north up or where you're heading with the navigation, your zoom function. Now the top button here, the world, is going to bring up the Google Maps Earth image. The little traffic light will bring up any traffic that you may have. So obviously there's a little bit of traffic noted here. And then lastly, down here, the little charge icon will zoom out and show you where all of the current chargers are. You can go 1, 2, or 3. I leave it on 3 because I just want to know the superchargers that are in my area if I need to. And that's basically that function there. Now down along the bottom here, you'll see you have your car icon, which is basically your car settings. Next you have your music. Next to that is going to be the dash cameras. So as you'll see here, it brings up the side view mirror and the rear view mirror options. Here next you have, this is a windshield wiper icon, so you can control the windshield wipers if you wanted to adjust the rate, but I typically just leave it on auto. Next here, you have a couple different options that you can pull up. All these other categories, which we'll get to in just a second. Next to that, you have the heater icon, so you can click that and adjust if you wanted to turn the heater on the seat. Next is the AC button, so if you pull that up, that pulls up your AC controls here. Temperature, obviously, if you wanted to do dual zone, you can have that option, or if you wanted to, you could always sync it up so that it's the same for both sides. The passenger seat heater icon. Up here you have the front defroster, the rear defroster, and then if you wanted to adjust the volume, you could do so that way. Okay, so that was a general overview of the actual display. Now let's dive into all of the settings and options that you have. So down here, if you click the little car icon, you'll see that all of the settings and options pop up here. So first you have quick controls. So if you wanted to adjust the exterior lights, maybe you just wanted your parking lights on, Then you have the mirror adjustments and the steering wheel adjustment here. If you wanted to fold the mirrors in, you could push that and the mirrors will fold in. Next you have your window lock, child lock, and then display brightness, but I just leave it on auto as that's the most convenient way of doing it. Next you have your lights. So the exterior lights, you also have the option here of going through and adjusting the headlights. Then you have the interior lights, which I leave on auto as well because when you get in and out of the car, they come on. When you go into drive, they go off. Auto high beam is a function where when you're on the highway, the high beams will come on when the car doesn't sense anybody in front of you or any cars oncoming. It kind of gets a little annoying in my opinion because it comes on, it goes off, it comes on, it goes off. I leave it off. While the car is in autopilot, it automatically has to have that on, so that function you can't turn off there. But at least while you're driving normally on the highway, you have control over it. Headlights after exit, obviously when you get out of the vehicle, it leaves the headlights on for a short period of time. Steering wheel lights are the two little arrows on each side of the scroll wheels. Do have the ability of lighting up a little bit. It is only recognizable at night. I leave them on. It's up to you, personal preference. Next, you have locks. Now this category will bring up all the current keys that the car has. So obviously I have my iPhone linked up as one of the car keys. Then you have the 2 key cards that the car comes with. And then again here you have the window lock or child lock. Now walk-away door locks is actually a great feature. I love this feature. When you go to get out of the car and as you start to walk away, the car will literally lock the doors and emit a quick little sound to notify you that the car is locked. Unlock on park, straightforward. When you put the car into park, the doors unlock. The next part down here, car left open notifications. This is a really cool feature as well. I have it set to doors and windows. You can have it set to just doors or you can leave it completely off. What that does is, let's say you go and get out of the car and a door, the trunk, a window is left open, you will get notified on your phone, and then you'll also have the option of excluding home. So if you didn't want that to be bothered while you're home, maybe you wanted to be able to leave your car in your garage with the windows open or a trunk open while you're getting groceries, something like that, you have that option. And then lastly, you have lock confirmation sound. This is, like I said before, when you go and get out of the car, it will make a sound to let you know that the car is locked. And you also have the option down here. So when you go and get out of the vehicle and start walking away, when the car locks, the windows will all roll up. Okay, so the next category is going to be the display settings. Very straightforward. You have day mode, you have night mode, which will turn it into the darker display, but typically I just leave it on auto. Obviously, you have the option of adjusting your display brightness again. Screen cleaning mode, what that does is it basically turns the screen dark, and then you can clean the screen, but touching it doesn't re-wake the screen up. You actually have to hold the screen for 3 seconds in order for it to kick out of that mode. Okay, so next here you have language. So you can change the touchscreen's display language, the voice recognition language, and the voice navigation language when the navigation speaks instructions to you. And then down here, you have a couple different options to format the display itself. So maybe you like 12-hour or 24-hour time, military time. You have the option here. This was the old way of changing the display. So as you can see, I have it on percentage right now, but if I was to click distance, it'll show me the current distance that I have here. And then obviously you can change kilometers or miles, Celsius or Fahrenheit temperature, or bar or PSI for your tire pressure. The next category is going to be the driving settings. So this is not a very in-depth setting, but it's also one of the more important ones. As you can see, the acceleration type, you can have chill or standard. Standard is going to be your faster setting. With a chill setting, it's going to be much more gradual of an increase in speed. Next, you have steering mode, which you can leave in either sport, standard, or comfort. Sport is more of a tighter, harder feel. Standard is going to be obviously right in the middle, and then comfort is going to be a lot smoother and easier to turn the wheel. Now with creep, that is a standard car. The car is going to slowly move forward when you release the pedals. Roll will allow the car to continually roll, but when you're at a stop, it will not gradually start to creep forward. Hold is going to be the option that you should always leave your car on, unless for some reason you don't like the regenerative braking, but this is the regenerative braking function. Now what that does is when you let off the accelerator, the car begins to use regenerative braking to slow the vehicle down, which also pulls energy back into the battery. Slip start is not a clickable function. I'm pretty sure you'd have to be stuck in either snow, sand, or mud, as it says, in order for it to become an option. I've never been in that scenario, so I've never had the opportunity or need to use it. Alrighty, moving along, next you have your autopilot settings. The two options up here need to be clicked off. Those notify the car that you are going to allow it to use autopilot. So the set speed function is meant to determine when you activate autopilot what speed the car should be following. So you can either use your current speed, which is what I typically tend to use, or speed limit, where the car will automatically adjust the car to the speed limit that you're currently driving in. Offset is only used when you're using the speed limit function, so you can offset how much you allow the car to go above the speed limit. You can either have it fixed, so if you're driving in a 55 mile per hour zone and you're okay with it going up to 60, you would set it to fixed and have it at 5 miles per hour. Let's say you wanted to adjust it based on a percentage. As you can see, if the car is going 35 miles per hour, it'll go up to 41.18 or 65 to 77 miles per hour. So you can offset it by a certain percentage of what the current speed limit is. So the speed limit warning and speed limit, these two functions go hand in hand together. Now, the car will tell you in the left side over here what the current speed limit is. That's based on the most recent speed limit sign that you've passed. So you have three options here of how you want the car to warn you. You can either have it not warn you at all, obviously, and keep it off. You can have a display function happen or a chime happen. Now, this setting down here tells the car at what point should this warning go off. So I have it set here to relative at 8 miles per hour. What that means is at 8 miles per hour over the speed limit, the car will give me a display warning, which the speed limit sign will basically flash a little bit. Absolute here is if your car goes over a certain speed limit, it will then trigger that speed limit warning. Next, you have the forward collision warning system. Late means that the warning is going to go off later, meaning closer to the car in front of you. Medium is going to give you a little bit more distance, and early means that it's going to give you a warning fairly early on. So lane departure avoidance is a feature of the car where when you go to either switch lanes without using the turn signal, or if you're drifting out of your lane, the car will notify you of that. So you can either have the setting be off to give you a warning, or to actually assist and pull the vehicle back into that lane. Now, here is my 2 cents on this setting. I leave this setting on warning. And the reason that I don't like to leave it on assist is because if you're driving on the highway doing 50, 60, 70 plus miles per hour, and let's say the car notices that you might be drifting over, what's going to happen is the car is physically going to bring you back in. But what I've seen and heard too many times over is that if you're not familiar with it, it can freak you out. So what people tend to do is they grab the wheel and try to correct or take over, and it leads to a lot of bad accidents happening. So if you like the function and you're used to it, go for it and use it. I personally don't like to have it on. I'll allow the car to just give me the warning and let me know, hey, you're leaving the lane, genius. And lastly, the switch options down here, you have emergency lane departure avoidance, blind spot collision warning chime means that as you're leaving the lane, if there's somebody in your blind spot, a chime will sound. Automatic emergency braking means it allows the car to automatically apply braking to take over. Now, next you have obstacle aware acceleration. Now, what this says is obstacle aware acceleration automatically limits acceleration and may apply the brakes if any obstacle is detected in front of your vehicle while driving at low speeds. Okay, next is the navigation settings. So you can adjust the volume that the navigation will be. So automatic navigation, as it reads here, automatically navigate to home, work, or your next calendar event location when you enter the car. I don't have my calendar synced up, so I don't really use this function, but I have it on just in case. So the trip planner function, when it's on, it will add stops at superchargers if charging is needed to reach your destination. I highly recommend leaving this on. The car is very intuitive about when it's going to need to charge and how long to charge for, so I wouldn't even bother turning this off. So online routing reads, generates optimal routes and takes real-time traffic conditions into account while navigating. And then you also have the adjustment here, reroute if it saves more than X amount of time. So if it's gonna save you more, I think it goes down to, it goes down to even 1 minute. So you have an option of 1, 2, 5, 10, so on and so forth. And then lastly down here, you have avoid ferries, avoid tolls, and use HOV lanes. Okay, so next category is going to be safety and security. Up top here is allow mobile access. I'm pretty sure that just allows access to the mobile app. You have the option of turning the power off of the car if you wanted to this way manually. Speed limit mode allows you to set a speed limit that the car can go. And then your Sentry mode here. So obviously Sentry mode is the security feature of the car. So I leave it on anytime that I leave the car with the exception of when I'm home. You can also exclude work or exclude favorites. Okay, so the dash cam function here, as you can see, there's a couple different options. So auto means that basically the car will save 10 minutes of video to your USB automatically when your vehicle detects the occurrence of a safety event, such as an accident or airbag deployment. Manual means that if you tap the display icon here, you can save 10 minutes of recording to your USB there. On honk, if you honk the horn, it'll also save a clip of what just happened. And then recordings are stored locally. They don't go out to Tesla or anything like that. Now, when you get the car, in the glove box is already a USB drive. So you want to format that to make sure that it's able to save all of your footage. Park assist chimes, when you put the car into park, it'll make a little noise. Joe mode, as you can see here, enabling Joe mode reduces the volume of your car's chimes. The quieter chimes continue to alert the driver effectively and minimize disruption to the passengers in the rear seats. Example, Joe's kids. Obviously the security alarm, you're not going to turn that off. If you wanted to create a pin to drive, every time you got in the car, you would have to type in this pin in order to use the car. Some people want to do that as an extra step, extra safety feature. You're more than welcome to. And then the glove box pin, if you wanted to get into the glove box, you would have to type in a pin. The next setting here, cabin overheat protection. Now what this does is it maintains the cabin temperature under 105 degrees Fahrenheit while parked for up to 12 hours after you leave. The no AC mode consumes less energy, but temperatures may exceed 105 degrees Fahrenheit, and it does tell you that this feature does not operate when the battery reaches 20% or less. So if you live in a climate that's typically hotter, like Florida or maybe Southern California, Texas, somewhere like that where the temperatures can get up very high, I recommend it. I think it's a great feature to have. And then data sharing allows you to share your data and information with Tesla to help improve the car and in settings for everyone, but I don't have it set up like that. Next is going to have your service functions. First up, you have your owner's manual. So if you had a question or something you wanted to look up, you can do so. Car wash mode was a new function that was just put in with the last update. As you can see here, car wash mode closes all windows, locks the charge port, and disables windshield wipers, Sentry mode, walk-away door locks, and parking sensor chimes. For automatic car washes with conveyor belts, the free roll option shifts to neutral and prevents the parking brake from automatically applying if you leave. Car wash mode will exit if the vehicle exceeds 10 miles per hour. So cool function to have if you do like to put your car through a car wash. Makes it a little bit easier. Adjust headlights. This is a function where you actually have the ability to use the scroll wheels and adjust your headlights. Fun fact, I actually have had to replace one of the headlights on my car already, and when the service tech came out, he did have to mess with this a little bit. He did not recommend doing this on your own. It should be done by a trained Tesla service person only, so I wouldn't even bother going into this. So wheel configuration is what I was talking about earlier and how I was able to change the wheels here on the display. So if you go in here, you have a couple different options that you can change the wheels to based on what kind of wheels you have. Notifications will tell you if there are any alerts on the car. Obviously, I don't have anything as of right now, thankfully. Camera calibration, if they need it to be calibrated. All things that I would highly recommend allowing a trained Tesla service person to do. I wouldn't try touching these yourself. Lastly, you have factory reset and wiper service mode. Wiper service mode will pull the wipers up in case you need to replace the wiper blades. And then lastly you have is the software. Now this brings up the car display information. So I have a Model 3 Standard Range Plus. My car's name is Cortana. I currently have 5,000 miles. The VIN is there. Premium connectivity offers satellite views, maps with live traffic visualization, video and music streaming, karaoke, internet browser over Wi-Fi and cellular. Some features such as karaoke and video streaming are not supported on some cars based on hardware configuration. Available features vary based on market, may be subject to content provider terms. And then lastly, you have the version of my car that it's currently running. So I'm currently running 2021.32.21. And then you have the software update, which can either be standard or advanced. So advanced, it tries to pull them down quicker. Okay, so just to interrupt for a second, after that last clip, it did start to rain pretty hard, and I didn't want all the audio to just be rain hitting the car. So I did wait a couple hours, and we're back. It has stopped raining, so let's jump right back in. Okay, so just to wrap up the software section here, the release notes button right here will pull up all the release notes from the most recent software update. So that is the first section here. That is the little car icon down at the bottom left-hand corner, and that will wrap up all of the car's settings that you can adjust. Moving on, you now have the audio, which if you click here, you will see pulls up a little tiny pop-up down here. You can expand this and make it come up. So right now I have it set to my phone, but obviously I'm not listening to any music. And as you can see, you have a couple different options down here. You have the radio, you can use your phone to stream music. There is a streaming service through the Tesla system itself. You can also connect if you have a premium Spotify account. A regular Spotify account will not work. I tried that. And then you also have the option of tuning, audio settings, and then if you wanted to search for music. And all around here, you have the different favorites that you may have or recents. And then lastly, if you scroll all the way up, you are able to add another phone, connect to your phone, or if you have any playlists saved, you can also play them from here. The next button down here is going to be the cameras on the car. That'll show you the rear cameras, along with the two on the sides underneath the side view mirrors. Then you have the windshield wipers, which you can auto adjust or change the speed if you wanted to. So the next tab we're going to talk about is this one here. It's the fifth one in. And when you push that, it brings up a slew of different options for you to pick from. So you can do call. If you wanted to try and place a call to somebody or go through your messages, you have the ability of doing that. The second option here is the calendar. If you wanted to pull up a calendar. Now you do have to enable the car to have access to your calendar on your phone, and it will pull things up from there. The next option is going to be the cameras. You can also pull them up this way as well. Pretty simple there. The next one is going to be your energy consumption. So this chart is a bit confusing to read, but essentially what it will tell you is the solid line down here actually shows what the car is rated to be getting at, and then the dotted line above is the average that you get while driving. So I'm averaging 243 watts per mile, which isn't bad. It's pretty close to what the car is rated at. You also have the ability of adjusting the settings down here if you wanted to look back at the most recent 5, 15, 30 miles. So the instant range and average range basically tells you, based on your current charge, how far the car thinks that you will be able to go. Okay, moving on. The next is the charging icon here. This is the normal menu that will pull up when you plug your car in, whether you're at a supercharger or at home charging. You have the ability of adjusting what you want your charge to be at your daily rate. If you're going on a trip, I typically leave mine usually somewhere between 70 and 80, so we'll leave it at 80 for right now. As you can see, based on my current charge of 50%, I have 127 miles here, or 50%. You have the ability of adjusting the charge rate directly from here, depending on how much output you're getting. So you can also do scheduled departure. That will allow you to schedule when you're going to be leaving, so the car is charged up and then warms up the battery just before that so that the car is ready to go at that time. Or you can do scheduled charging, which is pretty handy when you're at home to let the car know when to start charging. Typically it's cheaper to charge overnight. So this is where you would adjust that so that you can tell the car when to start charging. Next is going to be web. It does pull up a web browser where you can search the web. I was trying to log into Fubo, which is a subscription service that I have. My friend works for them. If you don't know what it is, go check it out. It's a really cool service to have. Next, you have your entertainment center. So this is where you're going to have your arcade or theater. In the arcade, you have all these different games: Skyforce, the Battle of Polytopia, Moonrise, Solitaire, Cat Quest, Fallout Shelter, Stardew Valley, Backgammon, a whole bunch of really cool games that you can play while you're sitting in your car. The car has to be in park in order to do so. And wow, they really have added a whole lot of games here. I didn't realize they had this many. They definitely have added a bunch of games to this. So that's a pretty cool little feature to have. Something to do maybe when you're charging and stopped. And then in the theater here, you'll see these are all the current options: Netflix, Hulu, Disney, YouTube, Twitch, and then Tesla tutorials. And then the last in this category is going to be the toy box. And here you have Boombox, where you can essentially play music outside of the car. Maybe you're at a tailgate. I think this is really the best place and time to do that. You have the ability of changing your car horn. This is one of the more funny things that you can change about the car. So you can change the horn. So if you honk the horn, it'll play a bunch of these different sounds. Next, you have your emissions testing mode, which essentially allows you to change your car into a fart machine. All you have to do is just tap that area and it will go off. So you can also set it so that the left scroll wheel, when you push that, it does set it off. Or let's say you wanted to have it on the turn signals. So if you go to turn right, you have a passenger in your right hand seat, you put that on and it'll fart. People get a kick out of this. I think it's quite hilarious. Next here you have the tracks. It's essentially a little audio editing software, kind of like a GarageBand, something like that that you can mess around with. Now this is romance mode. So basically what it does is it turns the screen into a fireplace just like that. It actually does also turn the heat on in the vents so it warms up as well. Next you have Sketchpad, so you can mess around and sketch kind of like a little art thing. Next you have is the Mars tab. It transforms your map to the surface of Mars. Kind of another cool little thing that they have in here, but not something that I would leave on long term. Next you have is Santa mode, so you can put on Jingle All the Way or Spread Cheer, and it'll change your car to Santa and reindeer. And then lastly you have is Rainbow Road. While you're driving down the highway and the car is in autopilot, if you push down on the stalk 4 times, it turns the path that you're driving into a rainbow road just like that. Okay, so the next tab that we're going to cover is going to be the AC system. So if you push the little fan right here, this is the display that pops up. You do have the ability of adjusting where you want the fan to be blowing, down at your feet, directly at your face, or up above. You can adjust it so that it does auto temperature if you wanted to schedule it. So if you wanted to set it to a certain temperature so that when you leave in the morning, it's set and ready to go. Obviously your AC button, your fan speed, your circulation. You can have it so that when you get out of the car, the climate will turn off. It'll stay on. You can do dog mode or camp mode if you wanted to. And then this side here will turn on the passenger's vent system here. One of the cool things about the Model 3, Model Y is this long vent that goes all the way across. And you have the ability to adjust the fans simply by going up or down. And let's say you didn't want it blowing directly at your face, you wanted to split it, you could also split it like that as well, and then adjust up or down. Same thing here with the passenger. If you wanted to go split it, you can also do so just like that. That's essentially the AC vent display and system. I think it's a pretty cool system to have. It really is different, something that makes Tesla stand out. All right, well, that about wraps up this video here. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope this has given you a little insight into what the beautiful 15-inch display that the Tesla Model 3 and Model Y comes with. If you have any questions or anything that you want me to dive a little bit deeper on, please go ahead and leave a comment down below. As always, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for more. Once again, my name is Mike Emil, and we will see you in the next video.